Besties, today we'll be learning how to draft patterns for a bib overall or a dungaree. Now, one of our besties here actually requested for this bib overall tutorial, and that is why I'm making it now. So if you have any tutorial you'd like me to make, just drop it in the comment section. I'll look through them and then make them. Okay, now this bib tutorial, it's a very simple tutorial. It's not difficult at all. So just follow along with the instructions, the step-by-step instructions on how to draft the patterns, and then you are good. So without saying so much, let's head over to the table and then start drafting our patterns. Now, to start drafting patterns for this bib overall, you will need your pants blocks, and then you will need your basic bodice blocks. Now, if you don't have these blocks, no worries at all. I'm going to leave the link in the description box so that you can go learn how to make your own pants block and then your basic bodice block. Now, if you want a more detailed tutorial on how to make the pants block and the bodice block and how to fit them according to your own size, then I'll also leave a link below in the description box where you can join my online school where I teach step by step how to actually make these very easily. Okay, and then you also have access to other tutorials as well. All right, so we'll be starting with the front part first. So you're going to trace your bodice block. This is the front bodice. You're just going to place it and trace it. So when you trace your bodice block, please make sure you trace it up to your waistline and maybe a little more, because this line here, this straight line here, this center front straight line is going to serve as a guide for us. So this is my waistline, and then include other details if you like. Now you're going to get your pants block, your front pant block, and then you are going to place it. Now place it in a way that this is really very important, that your, especially for this center front, has to align well with the center front of your bodies. Now if your pant is not straight, just like the way mine is, my center front is not straight, it's a little bit bent, so just align it in a way that it will balance well. So once you are happy with the way it is, then you're just going to draw your trace out your pant block. Okay, trace it out. You can trace it out in full depending on what you want to make. If you want to make a full a long dungaree, or if you want to make a short, you can decide wherever you want it to stop. So for me, I just want mine to stop on my knee. Okay, so this is what I have. So it really doesn't matter if your dart doesn't match, because we're actually going to ignore the darts anyway. So now we are going to, before we start drafting the patterns, we are going to do a few modifications. So one of the modifications we are going to make is, because this is an overall, we need to add, we need to drop the crotch. So I'm going to drop my crotch by about 1.5 cm. But if your crotch is already low, you can decide to leave it that way. But I'm going to drop mine by about 1.5 cm so that it will be a bit free. If you notice, this overall is usually very free. They are not tight at all. Now again, also make sure that your pant, your pant block and has a lot of ease. If it doesn't, then you're going to add it on the side seam. You're going to add some ease so that your overall will not be tight. So the next thing we're going to do is, you are going to create a band. All right, so your band is starting from here. your waistband. So this is my waistline, so I'm going to drop my waistband by about 4 cm. The width of my waistband is 4 cm, so I just draw it across like so. Okay, so the next thing would be for you to add your ease to your side seam. Now this is optional. If you already have enough ease on your pant, you don't need to do this, but I want to add a little bit of ease to mine so that it will be a bit freer. So I'm just going to, on my hemline, I'm starting from my hemline. So on my hemline, I'm going to add about 5 cm, like so. And then I am going to connect it. I'm going to use a pencil first to do this. I'm just going to add just about maybe 1 cm to the side. I don't want it to be too free because I already have some ease. So I'm using a pencil to connect this so that I can see if it is something I like. So you notice that I didn't touch this waistline at all because I still want it to be a little bit fitted there, not too loose. Okay, so this is what I like, and now I'm going to redraw it with my pen so that you can see it very well. So the next thing we're going to do now would be for us to create our bib. Now from your bust point, this is my bust point here. So from my bust point, I'm just going to measure upwards, say about 8 cm. Now for you, you're going to decide how high you want your bib to be. So it really depends on you. So I just mark from my bust point upwards 8 cm. And then the width of my bib here, I'm going to mark 12 cm. Now you can do 10 cm, you can do 11 cm, you can also do bigger than I did. It really depends on you. So because I'm quite big, so that's why I'm using 12 cm from here to here. Now the next thing you want to do is you want to connect this part now to this part. So you can use your curve ruler to connect it nicely, or you can actually even draw it straight. It really doesn't matter. Okay, so but I want mine to be a little bit curvy. Good. So you're going to have something like this. So we are going to ignore the dots. So you ignore this dot, ignore this as well, and then we're going to ignore this as well. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is we are going to create the bib pocket. So to do that, you're going to measure from here now. From where your bib is going to start, you're going to measure downwards, say about 5 cm. Now the width of your bib pocket will be, say, about 9 cm. So from here, from my center front to this place, this is 9 cm. Now the length can be anything. The length can be 12 cm, it can be 13, it can be 14, it can be 15, it can just be anything. You decide how much length you want to have. It depends on you. Okay, so that's my bib pocket, this one. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do would be for us to create a pocket, this side pocket here. Okay, to do that, you're just going to mark here on your lower waistband from the end here. Let me draw this one to the end. From the end here, you're going to mark, say, about 7.5 cm. So you just mark nicely. And then from here, you're going to mark, say, about 5 cm. So you mark just like that. And then from here now, you're going to drop it down, say, about between 12 to 15 cm. It really depends on you. So you just mark, and then you draw a slanted line like so. Okay, and now you're going to draw your pocket bag. So the length of your pocket bag from the waist should be, depending on how deep you want your pocket bag to be, maybe about 25 cm, 23 cm or thereabouts. Okay, let me use 25 cm for mine. So, and then you just draw a straight line from here like so, and then you connect it nicely like this. Now this is the easiest pocket bag you can draw, just straight like that. Now you can curve it if you like, but this is very simple and it doesn't show anyway, so it can be like this. Okay, so that's for the pocket. We're going to trace this pattern out later, this one like that. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is we are going to add our strap. So from here now, I'm going to add my strap with pencil first, just in case I'll need to correct it. So I'm just going to extend my bib upwards in a straight line. Just like this. Now the width of my bib is going to be, say, about 3.5 cm. So from here to here, it's about 3.5 cm. So I'm just going to draw it down. So we're going to adjust this later. So let me draw it first. Okay. So this is the strap in front. Okay. Then the next thing we're going to do is we are going to make a zipper fly. Like this zipper fly is not really going to be open, but it's going to be a fake zipper fly. So we're just going to create it down here. Now the width is about 3.5 to 4 cm. It shouldn't be bigger than that. So I'm using 3.5 here. Okay. Now the length is also about, say, 15 cm or slightly smaller. So I just mark the length like that, and then I'm going to draw a straight line. I actually don't know why this one is there, by the way, but it's fine. Whenever I see overalls and I see it there, it looks really nice. Okay, and then you just close it like this. Yeah, something like this. Yeah. Okay, so that's how it's supposed to be. Okay, good. So that's actually it for the front part. We're going to omit this that for now. Let's head over to the back side. So for the back side, you're also going to do exactly what you did for the front side. You're going to trace out the back bodice block, trace it up to the waistline just like this, and extend it a little bit. And then you add your pant block. Make sure you align it very well. You see what I've done, so that it will match very well. Like this place has to be really straight. Okay, and then you're going to trace out the other part of your pants. So the first thing I'm just going to do is I'm going to drop my crotch a little bit, just the way I did for the front side, nothing different. And then I'm going to add a little bit of ease for the hemline, just the way I did for the front part. So once you're done, you are also going to mark your waistband. Now, for the back side, you can decide not to add a waistband. It's optional. You can also decide to add a waistband for it. Remember, we're going to ignore our darts. We don't need our darts. The waist darts, okay? So the next thing we will be doing will be for us to draw the bib at the back side. So you're going to measure from your back neckline. You're going to determine how deep you want it to be. So for example, I want mine to be 17 cm deep. Now yours can be slightly deeper, it can also be slightly higher, it really depends on you. So mine is 17 cm. Now from this 17 cm mark, I'm just going to mark down about 2.5 cm. So I mark it down like that. I'm marking this with a pencil because I'm most likely going to erase it later. Now the width of my bib at the back, depending on how big or how wide you want it to be, you can use 8 cm, you can use 9 cm, you can use 10 cm, you can use just depending on you. So right now I'm using about 8.5 cm. So that is it. So I'm going to now connect this part together like so. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is you're going to connect this part to your waistline to draw your bib design. So once you've done that, the next thing is you are going to take your front part and then check where you started from, where you drew your strap from, so that we can have something equal here. Okay, so for my front part, I'm just going to measure it where I started my strap from. So this is about 1.5 cm from the neck tip. Okay, so you're going to do exactly the same thing for the back side. So I'm going to measure from this neck tip here 1.5 cm, and then I'm going to just mark it, and then I'm going to connect this point here nicely in a slant to these other points. Okay, so you just connect the two of them just like so. All right, and then I can redraw this line. I redraw this like so. Okay, now I am going to erase this part because this was just to serve as a guideline, so I don't need this anymore. Okay, now remember that the width of my strap, we use 3.5 cm for the front, so I'm also going to use 3.5 cm here so that it will match. So I'm going to mark it like that, and then I'm going to connect this nicely to this place using my French curve. Now once you've done this, you're going to make something like an inset at the back here. Okay, this is optional, you can decide to leave it like this. This one is the strap, this is the bib, and this part is the lower coverall. You can decide to leave it like this, or you can create an inset here. That inset is really very nice, so I'm going to create the inset. So I'm just going to measure from here now, say about 15 cm. Now this also depends on you. Whatever you want, you're just going to measure it from here to here, about 15 cm, and then here you're going to measure say about 5 cm, and then you're going to connect these 2 points together like so. Good. So this part here is going to be one pattern piece, and this part is our center back, and it's going to be cut on fold. Okay, this part, so we're going to trace this part out differently, and then we're also going to trace this part out differently, and our strap differently. So before we finish off with the strap, let us create the our patch pockets. So now for the patch pockets, now let me draw a line from the middle of my the upper dart. Yes, I'm looking for the midpoint of my upper dart. I want to use that to create my pocket. So the midpoint is here, so I'm just going to extend the line downwards. This line is just to serve as a guide. I'm going to erase it later. The reason why I'm drawing a line here, because this is more centralized than these parts. So from here now, from my waistband here, I'm just going to measure downwards, say about 7.5 cm. I've just marked, and then on both sides of my guideline, I'm going to mark say about 7 cm. Depends on you. You can make the pockets smaller than that. It really depends on you. So 7 cm on both sides. So the length of the pocket will be 14 cm, or the width rather, the width of the pocket will be 14 cm. Now the length of the pocket will be let's use 15 cm so that it will not be too long. So again, you just measure 7 cm on both sides. Okay, and then you connect together nicely. So this is going to be your pockets. It's a patch pocket. Okay, make a design here, maybe 1 cm here, and then you just mark on the side, say 1.5 cm, and on the side 1.5 cm. And then you just draw your mark like that. So it can either be straight or it can be like this. You get it, right? So that it will not have sharp corners like that. All right. And then you can have a pocket facing, which can be say about 2 cm or 2.5 cm. It really doesn't matter. Yeah, something like this. A pocket facing. All right, so that is also optional. It depends on you. So now let me erase my guideline so that you don't get confused. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to place our button extension, because there's going to be extension here. We're going to have buttons by the side, so we're going to add our button extension. But before we do that, let me get the front part. So you take your front part like so. On your side seam like this, you are going to measure from this pocket side, because the buttons are going to be here. You're just going to measure upwards, say about 2 cm, and then you give it a little notch here, 2 cm. Then you're going to measure from here now down how many cm is left. So for me, I have 12 cm. From here to here, I have 12 cm. So whatever you have is what you're going to use for yours. So I'm just going to measure from here now downwards 12 cm so that it will match. So from here to here is 12 cm. So we're going to create our button extension. So the width of our button extension is about 3.5 cm. Oh, where did I mark my 12 cm? Sorry. I'm supposed to mark my 12 cm from here. I was wondering why it was that short. Yeah, from here rather. So it's actually from here, not from here. So from here is 12 cm. Yeah. So the width of my button extension is 3.5. Yeah. Okay. So this is the full width, this is the full length of my button extension. Now this piece like this, you can trace it out as a separate piece. You can actually add it to this piece as well. It doesn't really matter. Now if you want to add a waistband to your back side, you're just going to extend this line up to this part and cut this as a separate piece. Okay, good. So the only thing left for us to do now would be for us to create our strap. So to create our strap, you're going to also take the front part so that you can merge it together with the back part to create the strap. So you place them together like this on the shoulder. Okay, let me trim out this part so that it will be easy for us to place it on top, to place the front part on top. So now place it on top of the back side and make sure they match like this on the neck tip. Okay, so once they match, you're going to take your meter rule and then connect it nicely. If you notice, you will see that this is not matching very well. like this. So you can use your French curve, or you can draw a straight line. I think I prefer to curve it like this a little bit so that it will balance very well for me. Aha, good. And then on this side as well, you can also balance it very nicely. You don't want you want it running smoothly. Let me use my meter rule to balance this. Aha, good. So not this part anymore, so I'm just correcting it. I can already erase it because I drew this with a pencil. Okay, so once you have something like this, you are good. Now you're going to extend your strap. You're going to extend it by, say, about, it depends on you, say about 15 cm or so, because this extension here is what you're going to use to be adjusting your strap when you wear your overall. So extend it by either 10 cm or 15 cm. Anyway, the longer the better. I usually like it to be a little bit long, so I extended mine about 15 cm. So if I remove it now, so you can see my strap like this, I'm going to redraw it with a different pen so that you can see it very well. So we are going to trace them out together as one piece. So the only thing we need to do now is for us to place our tracing paper on it and trace out the separate pattern pieces. Okay, so I'm going to trace out mine and then I'll walk you through the pattern pieces. All right, so I've traced out my patterns. Let me quickly walk you through them. Let me also mention that I made something similar to this overall in my online school, and that is the coverall jumpsuit or the boiler suit. If you'd like to learn how to make it from start to finish, I'll drop the link in my description box below so that you can go check it out. Okay, the class is fully detailed and you will love it. So now this is my front pattern pieces, so I'm going to place them on it so that you can see it very well. So I've added my seam allowance 1.5 cm all around, and then I added 4 cm on my hem. So you see where I traced the front part here, where the pocket is starting from. Remember to also include your straight grain. And then this is the waistband for the front. This one, okay, for this pattern piece, you're going to cut 2 pieces. And for this, you're going to cut it on fold. But you're going to cut 2 pieces on fold. Add your seam allowance. This part, you don't need seam allowance because it's going to be cut on fold. And then this is my fly, like a zipper fly kind of thing. So you trace it out, you add your seam allowance. That one is just going to be cut 1 piece. This is my pockets, and this pocket starts all the way to the pocket bag. Then add your seam allowance all around. This one is going to be cut 2 pieces, and then the facing is also going to be cut 2 pieces as well. Okay, then, and this is my bib pocket, so this is going to be cut 1 on fold. You see, I actually also made the side like this so that it will look nice and match with the back side. That's all, nothing different. Okay, and then I have my bib. The bib is going to be cut 1 on fold, and this part, the center front part, there's no seam allowance because it's going to be cut on fold. And then this is my strap. So I added the back sides to it, so you can see this is the back side, then this is the shoulder, so I made it to be 1 piece. And then I lengthened my extension a little bit. Instead of adding 15 cm, I added 25 cm so that it will be slightly longer. And then you add 1.5 cm seam allowance all around. Now let's go to the back side. This one is going to be cut 4 pieces. because we're going to use one and turn the other one, and then use the other one and turn the other. I hope you get it. Okay. Now moving on to the back side. So this is my back side, and this is going to be one piece. So I didn't add a waistband for this, so I just made my one piece. Then you're going to add 1.5 cm seam allowance all around, and then for the hem I added 4 cm seam allowance, and that is going to be cut 2 pieces. Then this is my pocket, my patch pocket. This is going to be cut 2 pieces. Then this is the button extension. This is going to be cut 1 piece on fold. This part here is going to be cut on the folded line. Okay, remember to add your seam allowance all around. Then the last on the back side is this inset. So this is here, that is it. So this is going to be cut 2 pieces on fold. So this back side, center back side, is going to be cut on fold. Okay, so those are all the pattern pieces, and that is what we are going to actually end this class for today, because the class is already getting too long. So in our next tutorial, I'm going to show you step by step how to sew this overall. Okay, so if you have stayed up to this stage, thank you so much. So I hope you found value in this class. Please let me know in the comment section. All right, and if you have not already subscribed yet, please do well to subscribe, like, share, leave a comment for me to know your thoughts. All right, I'll see you again in my next class. Until then, bye bye.